it's Maya. Welcome to Mindful UK, the podcast. This has been a long time coming. I'm so excited. Look at my lovely logo behind me. Like, this is just, yeah, it couldn't come at a more perfect time. It's May, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think it's just time that the show was on the road, you know? So I just want to talk to you guys now about Mindful UK. Why have I started it? Where is it going? And what is my history with mental health? So it all began for me when I was 17 years old. My journey with mental health issues is a little bit different. Everyone's journey is different, but mine was strange because I was going through it without knowing what I was going through. So I'm never going to forget when I was 17 years old. I was going through my A levels, university was coming up, I had exams going on, and I just felt a lot of pressure, so much pressure, but I just kept pushing it to the side. It was normal to me. It's what I should be going through as an A level student. And then there was a night where I went to sleep and I woke up and I genuinely felt like I was dying. I felt like I couldn't breathe properly. I couldn't catch my breath, and I had to quickly get up from bed. And I think the thought that I was dying was making me panic even more. And then I managed to get myself downstairs somehow. I drank a whole load of water, but I was scared to go back to sleep because I kept thinking, if I go back to sleep, what if that happens to me again? Anyway, the next day I'd gone to college. I told my friend about the issue, and she just said to me, like, it sounds to me like you had a panic attack. And I was like, a panic attack? Like, what's even a panic attack? I didn't know anything about mental health. And that's also why I'm doing this podcast, because I feel like there's not enough education out there about it. Nobody told me about it in school. I hadn't heard about it from friends. I'd heard about friends' personal issues, but I didn't know what a panic attack was. I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't really know. I knew people got stressed and stuff, but I didn't know the ins and outs of it. So to go through a panic attack and not know what a panic attack was really, really scary for me. So when I looked it up, I realized I did have a panic attack, and I just wondered like what's caused it, but I couldn't think of anything that did. It didn't process in my head that I was stressed about anything. Time went on, about a month or so. I was fine after that. But then I had a random pain in my chest, and it started on one particular day. I ignored it, and the next day it intensified. Like, it felt like I couldn't breathe again, but it wasn't a panic attack. It was just a persistent kind of dull pain I had. So I ended up going to St. Mary's Hospital. I went to A&E, and I sat there waiting for an X-ray because I was like, something's wrong with me internally. Something's wrong, and I need to get to the bottom of it. So I had the X-ray, got the results, and the nurse was like to me, everything's absolutely fine with you. There's no problems whatsoever. And I didn't want to believe it. I'm looking like something has to be physically wrong. I'm looking at the X-ray. I'm like, this isn't making sense. And she said to me, do you think it could possibly be anxiety? And I was like, anxiety? Like, I've never been somebody who gets anxious, if I'm completely honest. Like, sometimes you're gonna go and speak publicly or read something aloud or whatever. Like, I got anxious in kind of normal situations, but I wasn't someone who just got anxious randomly. So I was like, me anxious? Nah, no way. So she kind of said, do you have any exams coming up? Is there anything you're worried about? And I was like, I have exams, but I don't feel that worried. Like, not worried enough to have chest pains. But what was so weird about that situation was, as soon as she told me that it could be anxiety, the pain just vanished. The pain in my chest was completely gone. And that is when it showed me that your mental state really affects how you feel physically. And I didn't even realize it. I didn't realize the strong hold that my negative mental health issues was causing on my body. So yeah, that's when I started to realize I'm anxious, and it's due to my A levels, but I didn't actually address it. I didn't do anything to help myself. And it kind of progressively got worse as soon as I got to uni. So what a lot of people don't talk about is how stressful university is. I'm sorry, like, anyone who's a uni student knows uni is stressful. When you look online, you just see everybody partying, and you see the glamour side of it, but the stress side of it is very, very real. So once my A levels were done, I was happy, I got my grades, whatever, but then I went to uni, and that that kind of burden dawned on me again, because I've still got assignments, I've still got grades to me, and I really, really cared about my career. Like at the age of 18, that was the one thing that caused me the most stress. Um, so yeah, once I hit university, I noticed that it became more of a social thing. I'm naturally a quite reserved person. Anyone who knows me or is watching this, yes, I'm quite reserved. I'm quite quiet. I'm quite awkward. Once you get to know me, I talk a lot, but naturally, especially if I don't know you, I'm more of the person who's going to be, more in the background a little bit. So when it came to uni and it's the time to really socialize and get out there and talk to people and stuff, it was just not my vibe. So it was like my anxiety for exams morphed into a social anxiety. I didn't like to be around people like that. The thought of being around a lot of people genuinely made me hot. Like it would make me sweat to be around groups of people. And it started to kind of turn into a thing where I wasn't understanding myself and I wasn't understanding what was happening. And I think it was making my mental health worse because I was beating myself up for having mental health issues. Um, there's always been a stigma around mental health. And I think not having that education about it too made me even look at myself like, just be happy. And I'm ashamed to say now, like there was actually a point in time when I used to look at people with mental health issues and think, just be happy, like, or just go on a walk, just do something to make yourself happier. And then when I was actually in that situation, I finally understood, like, it's not that simple. It really isn't that simple to just switch things like that. So yeah, being at uni really opened my eyes to that. And most people could say uni was like a great experience for them, etc. But for me, it wasn't. It was a time where I felt like I lost myself a lot more because a lot of my identity was around being with my friends, being with my family. And then I'd moved away. I had exams, I had assignments that was already stressing me out. And then I'm in a completely different area and I don't know anyone as well. So yeah, uni got very, very stressful for me. And that's when I realized I really needed to crack down on my mental health. I started meditating, I started journaling, and I also started getting closer to God. And there was just multiple things that I did for myself that ended up helping me, but it was a very, very slow journey. So my dissertation for university is where I first opened up about my mental health. Everything I've just told you guys are things that I've not even told like my family. Some of my friends, like I didn't even tell them I was going through it. Like I basically got myself out of it by meditating and journaling, etc. But then when it came to my dissertation, I was like, no, I'm gonna do like an open letter about all of this. There was one module I did, and it was called life writing. And life writing is basically where you write stories about your life, things that have happened. And yeah, life writing was my opportunity to kind of spill the beans on what had been going on with me mentally. And I feel like writing on a page is my way of letting things out. That's why I emphasize journaling so much. That might not work for everyone, but for me, writing things down on a page really gets it all out. So I focused my dissertation on my mental health and my time at uni. And what I'd done my whole time at university is diary entries, journaling everything. So throughout the disso, I basically just put my diary entries in there. I put what I was going through within it. And yeah, I finished with a first. I finished with a first, but when I read my feedback, it's not even a but. When I read my feedback, it kind of made me happy because it was like I've got a first, but it also made me cry. Like I genuinely cried when I read my feedback because it was the first time I'd actually spoken to anybody about my mental health. And bearing in mind, I'm not even speaking. I've just written it and I've submitted it to an assessor who was my module leader, and then an external. I think it's an external assessor, or it might have been my tutor, but basically I've just submitted my feelings to two people at university who don't even know me, before I even spoke to my family or friends about it. And I made it clear in the dissertation that that's what I'd done as well. So when I read the feedback, one of the words that stood out to me was heartbreaking. Like the he said it was such a powerful piece of writing, but it was so heartbreaking to read at the same time. And that really like touched me because I was like, it is heartbreaking. Like, there's so many people out there who are going through mental health issues by themselves. And for me, I'm quite resilient. I was able to get myself out of it, but that's not the case for everybody. Some people don't like to talk about it, and some people just feel weak, or there's a stigma behind it. And I think that was my issue. I felt like if I spoke about things, it would make me seem weak. And within my friendship group, I was always kind of the strong friend. Like, I was a friend that everybody, I still am that friend actually, but um I've always a person that people would speak to about things and tell their issues and stuff. And then when it came to my issues, it wasn't that I felt like no one was going to listen to me. It was just that I felt like I kind of had like an image to keep up. Like, no, I'm the strong friend. Like I don't go through these things. Like, Maya doesn't go through these things. When really I was. So yeah, getting that feedback was really just like it it was an eye opener for me. It showed me that I really do need to talk out about what I'm going through. And yeah, so that was my first time talking about my mental health. And now I'm at a point where I feel a lot more comfortable talking about it with everybody, but I've not shared it like this. I've not done the video. I've not done like a open page writing about things. This blog is so new. It's only started a month ago. And the first thing I opened up about is my twitching. And a lot of my emphasis with this podcast and with Mindful in general is going to be about the physical effects of mental health, because that's the only way I found out that I had mental health issues. It wasn't through me being like, why am I feeling this way, or whatever. It was more, okay, I've had a panic attack randomly, I've had chest pains, and then the final one, which was the worst one for me and still is what I'm fighting, is the twitching. I have very, very bad twitches all around my body. And if you go on my page, my Instagram page, Mindful UK, you know how it's spelled right there. You'll see me write about my twitching experience. Very similar to the chest pains, going to the doctors, thinking I had some kind of neurological problem. I saw on the NHS website, I'm a big hypochondriac, and I saw on the NHS website that it could be an early sign of Parkinson's disease. I was like, oh my God, like, what's going on with me? Went to the doctors, had exams, ended up going to the neurology department in Charing Cross Hospital, and everything came back fine. What did they put it down to? Anxiety. And I ended up in therapy for that. And having therapy works for some, doesn't work for others. But for me, it made me really understand my twitches, and it made me like know what my triggers are. And I'm kind of at a point now where I know my twitches, I know my body, and it's so weird. Like, I have this one twitch. It's a really weird twitch. I have this twitch, yeah, it's on my left knee right here. I don't know if you guys can even see it, but it's on my left kneecap. And anytime I'm stressed, or I'm finding something a bit overbearing, or I'm annoyed, that muscle right there is gonna go ham. Like, it's gonna go ham. And for me, that was just my eye opener to the physical effects that your mental health can have on you. um so yeah, I'm doing this podcast to raise awareness of all the different sides to mental health, because we always focus on one thing, you know, and people are going through it and they don't even know, just like what happened with me. There are people out there who might watch this and be like, oh, maybe that's why I'm twitching, or maybe that's why I'm shaking, or even sweating. There's so many different symptoms to mental health, and it needs to be spoken about. So Mindful UK is going to be a blog, but my blog is more focused towards the statistics, and it's all serious, but more of the serious side of things, what's in the news, it's all going to be written down. I could potentially write about what I'm doing in my podcast as well. I think that's what I'm going to do as well. So yeah, it's just going to be a podcast where I'm going to have different people on talking about their experiences, and I'm also going to be writing blogs based on the podcast and based on what I'm seeing in the news as well. I also have an anonymous platform, and you can find that on my Instagram. If you go to the link in my bio, it's called NGL, and I've done that because I am very mindful of the fact that some people might not feel comfortable talking about their issues. Some people would want to, share a comment, or there's something that you resonate with, but you don't want to do it on your account. You don't want people to know your business or anything like that. So any kind of anonymous things you want to send, go to my Instagram bio. It will be linked in. It will not be linked anywhere. It will be linked on the Instagram bio. But yeah, I want you guys to engage with this podcast, resonate. It's not going to be completely serious. It's going to have ups and downs and whatnot. But this is Mindful UK, and this is the beginning of something great. So thank you guys so much for watching, tuning in, listening to my story. There's so many more stories I have to tell. This is like beyond condensed. So yeah, get ready, because I've got a lot of talking to do, a lot of sharing to do. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and stay tuned.